Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this live Q&A. We'll start in about 30 seconds, so we'll just give people time to filter in. But today, Flock are doing a live webinar on the back of the exciting Admiral capacity launch that we announced a couple of weeks ago. So today's webinar is to give our broker audience the chance to ask questions about the day-to-day trading activity of this new partnership. It's a really, really exciting time to have joined. My name's Adam Smith. I'm a Senior Broker Development Manager at Flock. I've got the easy job of asking the questions today. So we've got two panel experts that are going to guide us through this webinar and hopefully give you answers to the questions. Please feel free to put the questions into the chat. We've had some pre-submitted questions already that we'll work through, but please feel free to put them into the chat. And if we get time, we'll work through them. But over to the guys. So I'll hand over to Tom initially. Tell us a bit about you, Tom, and what you do at Flock.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, so anyone in the audience that doesn't know me, I'm Tom Rogers. I head up the underwriting team at Flock. I've had the pleasure of working here now for over 3.5 years and seeing all the exciting things and development in our proposition and product. I'm very much looking forward to the next 5 years, and then we'll get into more of that in a moment.
Fantastic, thanks, Tom. And we're also joined by Chris from our new partner, Admiral. So Chris, do you want to do the same? Tell us a little bit about what you do at Admiral.
CFO for Admiral Pioneer, which is Admiral's corporate venture building business, and it's this part of Admiral that's partnered with Flock. And for those of you don't know about Admiral, hopefully you do. It's a household name in the private motor insurance industry, but doesn't do lots in the commercial space. So it's really excited to be talking to you about what we're doing today.
Fantastic, thanks, Chris. Right, without further ado, let's get into it. So I thought it'd be a really good starting point just to recap what we launched. So there's a webinar on this that the two CEOs did last week. But Chris, can you start by telling us a little bit about what exactly have the two companies launched together?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's a nice webinar that sort of the two CEOs are talking sort of fireside chat between themselves. But I think, just to recap, I mentioned it's some firsts for Admiral. This partnership takes Admiral, it's an MGA capacity partnership where Admiral are the insurance company providing the capacity. And it launches us into the fleet space and allows us to sort of partner with Flock, who've already got a significant footprint in this space across a few segments: courier, own goods, trades. Importantly, I think it's the highly connected, full use of telematics fleet proposition, and it's a 5-year capacity partnership deal.
Fantastic. Yeah, really exciting. I joined Flock at the start of April, so couldn't have joined at a more exciting time. So yeah, please do go and find that webinar. It's a really good watch between Ed and Emma, the two CEOs. So yeah, worth, if you want to find out a bit more, it's there. Right, we'll dive into the broker submitted questions now. So as I said, we've had some in. So we can start by the first question we'll put through. What is the proposition that we're selling? Tom, tell us about it. Is it still all the great elements of our proposition that we sell today that brokers and fleets love? Tell us a bit about what.
Yep. Yeah. So the good news is, effectively, it is everything you could have expected in the past in terms of our proposition. We still have full access for all our fleet customers and brokers to the portal, which includes the rebate section. So all of our policies include a rebate as standard. Up to 10% of the policy premium is refunded, subject to certain criteria. You also have the claims screens that you also have access to digital claims reporting. Actually, I think it's probably a good segue to actually, for anyone that's not seen it before, just to have a quick video on this. Yeah, so you can see here on the portal that some of the screens as we click through, where you can full transparency in terms of things like loss ratios, how much rebate's been accumulated. You can see the safety score of fleets, the average time to report. These are the metrics you can see below that form the basis of the rebate itself. So all the great things you can expect from the product that you've seen in the past, and it's ever evolving because we're always constantly listening to feedback from our brokers and our customers and our fleet owners. So yeah, lots more to come in this space.
Fantastic.
So
thanks, Tom.
Just to add
on that.
Yeah. Just to obviously one of the benefits of partnering with Admiral is the policy is very much enhanced in terms of its cover for EVs. So Flock have had the benefit of already insuring over 10,000 EVs on a fleet basis, and obviously partnering with Admiral, whose policy is tailored for EVs in terms of the coverage and the new liabilities that bring. I think that brings itself an additional opportunity that potentially our old policies didn't cater for. So we're very much excited about that. And
fantastic, thanks very much. So you've touched on EVs and kind of what we've done before, but has anything specific with our appetite changed at all? Are we doing anything different, new? What's that look like in terms of the specific appetite areas that we're writing here?
Yeah, so in terms of initially, we're still operating in the main segments we operated in the past. So that includes courier, self-drive hire, and own goods. We want to build our footprint up in a lot of those segments. So historically, in own goods, we've done a bit, but we're very, very keen to grow our footprint in that space. And almost, with a partner as large and as agile and as has a footprint that Admiral do in the motor space, I think one of the things I can say is a bit of a call to arms in terms of if you've got existing business in those segments, please send it all our way. But if you also have additional opportunities that you might think really fit well with this proposition, that we're really here to listen. So both Flock and Admiral will give you airtime. We're very much keen to expand our footprint in the motor market and kind of access those opportunities and those fleets that would fit really well proposition in terms of the connected proposition. So just to reiterate, it is still very much a connected proposition. We do ingest telematics data. We are agnostic, so we do have about in excess of 30 partnerships with different service providers in this space, and that remains the case. So if you've got a connected proposition that fits well, or propositions that will benefit from the connected elements of our risk, because we can also help fleets get connected as part of their journey, then please do reach out to either myself or one of our BDMs, and we can arrange a meeting.
Perfect, thanks. And did you say it's still 10 vehicles plus as our proposition? But is there any appetite for us to change that, or do you think we'll reduce? I know I've had a couple of brokers ask that of myself. Do you think we'll reduce that minimum vehicle number at any stage? Chris, that's probably a good one for you to sort of come in on that, I think.
Yeah, I think initially, particularly in the fleet space and the highly connected space, we see it being 10 plus vehicles. I think that said, what we have done is a full and extensive review of all the business that Flock have written with Andy, and it's pretty much we're happy to map that coverage. So I think there's it's BAU in terms of continue those discussions. I mean, just to touch upon something that Tom mentioned there, just to give you an example. I mean, I was talking to a fleet owner just last week, and it's a highly connected self-drive hire fleet, all EVs, and they've bought a new vehicle. I might call it a trike, never seen it before, and would we insure it? And I'm straight on the phone to our engineering team and our supply chain to say, do we already write this? Chances are we would within AdWorks on UK roads, and how do we feel about it within a fleet space? And it's that kind of sort of agility and understanding and transparency that I think we really want to bring to this partnership. The block between MGA and insurers and need to go and talk to the insurers. Hopefully we're on site with the Flock guys all the time.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
So just to add to that, Adam, I think if anyone that wants to see a more detailed version of our appetite, they can do so at flockcover.com/appetite, which gives you a breakdown of more specifics within each of those segments of which we operate.
Yeah, definitely, and that link's a really good mention. We'll keep that updated if anything does change in the future. So it's a good place to go to. Save it on your browsers, and obviously, as a BDM team, we're always on the end of the phone. So do give us a shout. Any queries on that, but certainly get yourself to that web page for any more in-depth sort of queries on that. Look, I think we're getting a few sort of questions that we've had pre-submitted, but if anyone has them, please do pop them in the chat. You're able just to type in. So kind of make use of the time we've got Tom and Chris today. So get those questions flying in. Hopefully they won't be too tricky for you guys, but keep them coming in. Talking of tricky questions, this is a quite an interesting one here from a broker. I'll say it exactly as it came in. So, what will pricing be like, Chris? I think that's probably with the CFO type. I think that's a good one for you. I'm going to guess I'd be interested of how exactly are both sides approaching the partnership from a trading perspective and from that pricing perspective. Do you think we'll see huge changing in rates, and how are we thinking about that?
Oh yeah, I think that's certainly a question we could have expected, and certainly the killer question perhaps. I mean, how are we approaching it first collaboratively? We have an underwriting team in house with a rich pricing expertise, and we've got a sort of an expansive insurance balance sheet. And certainly everything's being looked at. And I think one thing you should probably bear in mind with Admiral is it leads the market in terms of private motor, and it's very, very well known for its sort of competitiveness, but also its sustainability and its ability to sort of carve its way through a motor market cycle like no one else can. And I think that's, to the extent that the same drivers apply in the commercial space, I think we should absolutely expect that to hold. If we see rates going up, it's, there's something coming down the line that, or we're already experiencing it. And similarly, if we see, rates dropping, it's because of where we see where we are in the cycle. I think, the other thing that we should absolutely expect to see is Admiral's a very large it's the leading motor market insurer, and so areas where I think we expect to be competitive in are, for instance, our supply chain, our ability to procure reinsurance. We know that in the commercial motor market, there are areas where capacity is a challenge, and we've got an extremely large sort of Gibraltar balance sheet there. So I think it's very much, I think, focus on sustainability, and we know that's really important. We know fleet owners, it's the second or third largest line item for your customers, and therefore sort of sustainability, predictability of pricing is important.
Fantastic, thanks. Tom, anything to add from your the underwriting side on that? I mean, obviously your sort of vested interest in that.
No, I just, I think it goes back to what I said earlier. I encourage everyone to send over as many of the risks as they can in the segments. I think we're sustainable pricing, but there's normally a price for most risks. We appreciate that's that not everyone's going to be the winning price. That's nothing. We're not guaranteeing that, but we are willing to put numbers on stuff. And as Chris mentioned earlier, there is sometimes the weird and wonderful that you might think is very difficult, and there is potential conversation that we can have there. So we have had a habit of unlocking a lot of that in the past, and we've had some really good success stories on that, and I'm confident that that's only going to grow in a partner such as Admiral.
Fantastic, thanks guys. Yeah, good responses. On to the next question. So again, a broker submitted one here. So we've spoken around appetite of what Flock do today. I've got a vested interest in this one with my sort of background a few years ago, but will we be looking to offer a haulage solution anytime soon? Chris, probably want to kick over to you initially on that one.
Yeah, I think the rollout, and I think we sort of covered this in the webinar as well, is initially we're focused on all that Flock have written historically to date with the Andy business, plus expansion within those segments, and quite an ambitious business plan over the 5 years. Are we wanting to look at and explore with new segments? Yes. Our Flock wanted to look and explore at new segments? Yes. And I think we would certainly hope to point to that, and therefore I think certainly continue those discussions with Flock.
Great stuff. Thanks so much. Yeah, be watching the space as we kind of move through this partnership, but exciting things ahead, I'm sure. Next one in. So the question around our sort of previous capacity relationship and what we did there. Will existing renewals on Andy paper be transferred across to Admiral renewal? Tom, probably quite a straightforward answer on that one, but will we transfer them across at renewal?
The short answer to that is yes, we will be. We will be offering invites that existing with Andy onto Admiral. I think just to add a little bit of colour to that, I think any key differences in the policy wordings and or pricing and or terms will be clearly pointed out on those renewal invites, so you can expect to see that come along. So it should answer any questions you may have that may follow around the key differences.
Perfect. Gold stuff. Thanks very much. So we'll sort of move through, and then I think we can probably get into a few questions that we've had in the chat. Just a reminder, keep sending them in. I think we've had a couple of good ones. Really interested in claims from my perspective as well, but we've been asked about that by a broker prior to the webinar. Chris, can you tell us a bit about claims setup? I mean, one of the things when we launched this internally, there was a huge benefit of the two sides working together on claims. It's a big area of focus for us and a big area of expertise for you guys at Admiral. So can you talk us through the claims setup that we've got and what we're doing there?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. I mean, I've been with Admiral Group 8 years, and I spent 3 years in the UK motor claims department looking after supply chain and the engineers and the repair network. So it's an area that I think's exhaustingly fascinating, and an area that Admiral never stops on. The short story is we should be bringing the best of Admiral's claims management to this partnership. and therefore we hope that that delivers, certainly, best in class service to your customers, and equally so loss ratio advantage. I think Tom touched upon something earlier around EVs, and I think we think we're the largest writer of EVs in the UK, and we think we're very well positioned to sort of manage accidents as they happen, and they will happen with our repair network and our supply chain. That's one example. I mean, FMG, who are our partner here, are one of our sort of long-standing and most trusted partners. 1 in 4 Admiral vehicles are repaired in their networks. They cover our out of hours on our wider UK motor book, and that's the partner that we've chosen to sort of oversee claims with Flock. I don't know if we're going to bring up the Flock portal, the claims video, but I think the other thing that we recognise is there's a difference between perhaps private motor is, for your customers, fleet owners will want to be engaging with they're going to have more claims by virtue of having more vehicles in a fleet. And we really like the premium rebate model, and we really understand that claims performance is a driver of one of those premium rebate points. So making sure that there's almost like a real-time access to claims, it's easy, it's understandable, you understand the types of claims, and you feel like you can pick up the phone to us and understand if, why is a fault claim why did it start as a non-fault and become a fault, or vice versa. These are the types of things that I think working with the Flock guys and the highly sort of digital platform, I think we're really, really excited by in Admiral.
Great stuff. Yeah, and just as a recap, we can see it there, but the ability to report claims digitally, we're still sort of working on pushing that part of the proposition forward as well. So yeah, lots of good movement on claims, and I'm sure that piece will continue to develop as well. Well, we're going to go to a question we've had in the chat, so from Stephen. So we've spoken about appetite quite a bit of the trades that we currently do. Tom, will we cover taxi? It's probably one to touch upon kind of what we do with the wider capacity partnerships here, but to Flock cover taxi, and where will that sit?
Yeah, so the Flock do cover taxi. Effectively, we're already operating in this space currently. We partner with Haven on that. We are growing our footprint. We did launch in May, so things are moving pretty fast there. So yes, in short, we do. Please do continue to send your taxi fleets to us. At this moment in time, we're not doing taxi with Admiral. It is with our other partner, Haven, on that side of things. But the same proposition applies that you've seen on screen plenty of times a day. So it is the same proposition, but just a different capacity provider for that product line.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, we're definitely having a big push on that across all the submissions as well. So yeah, certainly stuff we're looking at across our capacity sort of profile of partners. On to another question we've had in from Zoe, so thanks for submitting that one. We've spoken again about appetite. I think this sort of hones down a little bit onto it. So Tom, it might be one for you, but what are the out of appetite trades that we're looking at? Is there anything that we really kind of want to look at? Anything we're not so sure, or is it a bit of an evolving thing? How are we looking at that?
Yeah, so in terms of generic trade in itself, there isn't anything necessarily out of appetite, but by default, some of those might fall out of appetite. And I say that because we're not generally, unless you come to me with a really good opportunity operating in the new venture market for trades. That's predominantly because we don't expect to see too many opportunities over 10 vehicles, which we've mentioned on appetite. Generally, tradesmen will start with a lot less, and it might actually fall into another product line that Admiral may offer elsewhere. Ironically, in terms of like the vehicle makeup and stuff like that, that could mean that some trades just fall out of appetite at this moment in time, and that's because the mix of vehicles may be predominantly led towards heavy goods, HGVs. So if it's a very HGV heavy trades fleet, at this moment in time, it probably may fall out of appetite. We can cover up to 18-ton vehicles, but anything above that at this moment isn't within appetite. That's not to say it won't be in the future. It's just immediately where we've mirrored the existing sort of Andy appetite, that would fall outside. But in terms of what sort of falls within that, building contractors, tradesmen, plumbers, sort of commercial travelling, door-to-door sort of sales companies, they're all within appetite, and will be looked at each individually on its own merit.
Okay, thanks, Tom. And I think to your point earlier from brokers, if you've got the risks there, we're keen to see them. Both sort of parties have got some really good growth ambitions with this partnership. It is a long-term deal, so if we are getting stuff in that perhaps doesn't quite sit at the moment. As long as it's at the moment above 10 vehicles, then at least we can have the conversation. So yeah, certainly worth chatting, sending them in, speaking to one of the BDM team, and then we can at least keep feeding that back as well. So yeah, thank you for that one. Hopefully a nice easy one to throw across now, not a difficult pricing question, but do we use telematics? We've touched upon it's a connected proposition, but yeah, Chris, do you sort of want to take that one initially, and Tom, anything else to add, sort of how we work with telematics devices? And I guess maybe the benefits of doing that, and why sort of Admiral's interest in that sector.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, yes, we do, this partnership, we absolutely expect to see lots of telemetry insights, highly connected, fleets are a key proposition of the underwriting policy and of the policy booklet. And, this is one of the, standout points, I think, from us from working with Flock. This partnership's been, many months and in the making. And, one of the first and key standout points for us was the telematics agnostic approach that Flock's been able to take and develop to ensure that those connectivity insights can be brought. I mean, within Admiral, again, going back to Admiral's history, we've been in telematics for over a decade. I think we've done sort of close to 10 billion miles of exposure, and all in the personal line space. And yeah, absolutely, it's a key enabler to enable sort of perhaps riskier vehicles to get on the road, or just to improve driving performance over time. We're very keen to sort of no exposure to that in the commercial space, but with Flock, that's absolutely bought into the argument that if you are highly connected, you are using the platform, you are taking steps to sort of improve that over time. We absolutely should expect that to translate into safer performance over time. And then what does that mean? That means premium rebates back to customers and a more sustainable premium moving forwards. That's absolutely the model, and yeah, we're raring to go.
Fantastic. Great. And we saw in the background a video of the portal. So I think most of our brokers hopefully will have seen the portal. If you haven't, please get in touch. Happy to run a demo on it. It's really good at making simple, sort of actionable information very front of mind for customers. And then, for a large portion of our customers, we support them with the one-on-one quarterly sessions with Ben, who I'm sure a lot of our brokers will know very well. Adds great value to support that data. So yeah, it's not just having the data there, but how we use it. So yeah, thanks for that, Chris. It's really useful.
Just on that as well, I think the other point there is around those interventions, and that was something that certainly came to our understanding throughout the sort of many months of work that's gone into this partnership. Is having those regular interventions, actually discussing the telemetry insights, looking at the driving performance data, and being able to understand that and have a conversation around, well, what's the business, what's the fleet's purpose, what's the reasons for that. I think that's a point of differentiation versus the private motor market. Typically in the private motor space, we are so sure what we think about a driving performance before we sort of contact the customer. We think this, it will work differently in the commercial space. It could be more of a dialogue and an understanding point, but ultimately, the point is that telemetry and risk insights should translate to fewer accidents, which should translate to fewer premiums. That's the hypothesis.
Yeah, I think
thank you.
Just to add to that, and just to build on what Chris is saying there, I think historically in the fleet market, a lot of the pricing has been done made on assumptions. So assumptions on where you're driving, assumptions on how you're driving, when you're driving. I think obviously with telemetry data, we've got the benefit of, not necessarily day one, but as soon as we start ingesting that data, we can replace a lot of those assumptions with actuals. And therefore, each individual fleet owner would effectively get priced on their own merit rather than being potentially bucketed in with a lot of other fleets of a similar profile, which historically would have happened. So if you're performing well and your driving behaviour is really good and your claims behaviour is really good, you're going to be rewarded both in terms of the rebates, but longer term over time, if that's, if we're seeing consistency in that data, you're going to see a better price. So I think that's one of the benefits that the telemetry and connected data brings to the fleet market.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. That's really good responses. On to the next question that we've had submitted. So when will we have a new finance scheme in place? It was a major selling point for Flock previously. Tom, do you want to take that one initially, and then Chris, anything to add?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so we're working on it, so bear with us. I think initially we're looking at some options from external finance, and I know that a lot of brokers have some really good finance arrangements externally. fast follow to that. I think Chris has. We've been having conversations with Admiral. I'll probably let Chris take it, but it's already on the roadmap and on the list to do. So we are looking at what we can do with Admiral in this space and trying to improve the overall experience for finance for customers. But I think probably a nice segue into Chris there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're 21 days, 22 days into trading, and pleasingly Flocker already keeping us very, very busy with all the quotes going out and conversion coming through. But day two priorities are absolutely around what does the premium finance solution look like, and also sort of ancillary product bundles as well. From a premium finance perspective, I mean, we're certainly looking at that because we've got the permissions in both our intermediary and insurance company, and we already provide premium finance to a large number of our personal lines customers. So I think the challenge really is to make sure that we can create a product and create an option that's competitive, fits in with the journey, ultimately is the right thing for the customer.
That's it. Thank you. On to the next question. Yeah, we've had some good ones into the chat, so we'll keep cracking through them. We've probably got about 10 minutes left, so we'll fly through as many of these as we can. If we don't get back to you, we will sort of follow up after the webinar, so do keep getting them in. Is the new arrangement to be delegate authority, or is it break to Admiral? Tom, do you sort of want to start by just talking through how the sort of pricing relationships work, how we're working on that side of things?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so in terms of like the pricing side of things, it's all done using Flock's existing pricing models, which obviously we've talked a lot about the benefit of telemetry data. That feeds into that, so that's why that's particularly important. In terms of how we price, I think it's although it's we're pretty much in doing this in conjunction with Admiral. So effectively, we sit down with Admiral, we look at a bundle of risks on a portfolio basis, we decide how we're going to price those in terms of our renewal book, and also on the new business side of things, we're looking at how we can work with them to improve our pricing models, use the benefit of what we've gathered over the last 3 years, but also it is commercial lines, but it isn't completely removed from personal lines. So we're very much at this moment, particularly in the first 21 days of sitting with Admiral, of trying to enhance our models and enhance the experience and enhance the pricing so that we can get the benefit of both worlds to make sure we're offering the best price to brokers and customers. So it's very much a joint partnership in terms of how we're using the models and how we're pricing risks. And I think it will continue to be that way, hopefully, from my perspective, for the next 5 years, because the whole point in the partnership is to benefit from a lot of the hard personal line space and bring in some new elements to commercial line space.
Brilliant. Yeah, Chris, anything to add with that?
No, just fully echo that. I think it's exactly as we'd expect it to be. You start off a partnership where we are working side by side all the time. I think there's so much you can share at the beginning of a partnership, but it's really in that the first 6 to 12 months where you really understand. And we've got a lot of areas we're sort of very optimistic about. Areas we can go into, or loss ratio advantages we might be able to bring, or service advantages that we can bring. But I think it's those are being tested as we go. You might think, can't repair a vehicle up in Glasgow, can't repair an EV van up in Glasgow, and we might say, well, we're great here, and actually we've cornered the market in this space. It's things like that we're very much every day sort of continuing to sort of collaborate together.
Fantastic, great stuff, thanks. Right, we're going to fly into these and go through hopefully quick fire one for Tom. Do we cover employment agency?
So we can look at employment agencies. Yes.
It was a pause and a ponder there, wasn't it? So
it's a pause, but it's very much not on. It's not on the excluded list. So please do send them in.
Great stuff. Another technical one coming your way, I think. What would you both regard as a top quartile COR result in the fleet market where data, technology, and insights are really well used? I don't know who wants to put themselves forward for that one. It's I think that's the most interesting one we've had in the chat so far. So thanks, Derek, for submitting that one. I'm feeling to give the guys a little bit of time to ponder a response on that one.
I think you might have the 10 plus years of industry experience versus someone who's just sat across a load of sort of due diligence. It's incredibly hard market to survey, the commercial motor market. And, I think one of the things we're really optimistic about is, that telemetry driven insight and the ability to really command, premiums that go down over time. premiums that go down over time, can point to, don't necessarily translate to greater loss ratios or combined ratios. But I think for us, it's sort of, it's finding the best risks. And I think we've certainly, we've looked at, it's a 5-year partnership. It's, got ambitious growth plans. We see it as a large and growing market. And we're very aware of sort of, particularly in the car space and EVs, there's a lot of crossover into what we already do. So I think certainly competitive.
Great stuff. Thank you. Another appetite one. So credit high risks, Tom, definitely up your street. Would you be able to offer terms for credit high risks under the SDH product? And there's a question in there around, would we offer the option for motor contingency for existing business with an element of COI?
The answer to that is, yeah, we do quite credit high business. We've actually been quite successful in this space already. And as we've mentioned before, the appetite is mirrored. So we will continue to operate in that space. In terms of contingency, we do offer that. It is a cover that we can offer on both our self-drive hire products, and I include credit hire within that. So we can offer contingency cover, and we can look at risks that are heavy on a COI basis, where we know obviously contingency cover is essential. So it's all part of the fact finding process, and obviously without going into specifics on fact finding of self-drive hire, these are the typical questions we'd ask around percentages COI, around the contracts they'd have, the due diligence they have with their partnerships for things like for credit hire and for COI. So yes, it can be done. We have done it already, and we will continue to do it, subject to getting the right information through as part of the submission.
Perfect. Thank you. Another sort of appetitey one. So service trades, as an alarm company is the example. Can you cover a mixture of goods carrying vehicles and business cars and Teslas? Chris, do you want to start on that one?
Yeah, I think that's straight yes. I think it's already part of the Andy book. Kind of expect it.
Great stuff. Thanks very much.
With my non-underwriting hat on, I should say. Yeah.
yeah, of course, no worries. I didn't see Tom disagreeing, so I think we're okay on that one.
Very much so.
Great. Nodding away. We've had a question in, when does the Flock Admiral partnership officially go live? I think I can probably take this one, actually. We are live. So from a distribution perspective, we've got the BDM team here. If you aren't already trading with us, get submissions in. We can take you through the process, get the relevant towers in place, all that sort of stuff. But we are live and trading today and placing risks with brokers. So any queries on that, get in touch with us. LinkedIn, emails after this, whatever it needs to be. We'd love to work with you guys. Good. Any intention to reduce the minimum vehicle of 20? There's an apology if it's been covered already. No worries at all. We have, but Tom, do you just want to recap on sort of minimum vehicle numbers there?
Yeah, so minimum vehicle numbers are actually 10. So we can look at anything from 10 vehicles upwards. I'd add to that to be with an air of flexibility, but not to encourage an overwhelming number of mini fleets, because I think we would be crossing over to other products that potentially Admiral have. But we have, particularly in our renewals, been a bit more flexible on that number. So if you're sitting there with a book of business existing with Flock, and you three or four of those have got 7-8 vehicles, for instance, we have been accommodating those also. So there is a little bit of flexibility around it, but particularly for new business, we're looking for 10 vehicles upwards. So yeah, there's no intention right now of saying, are we going to launch a mini fleet product? We'd have to make sure the proposition's right for that area of business, particularly around connectivity, highly risk managed fleets, because those smaller fleets generally may not see the benefit in that investment. I'm not trying to answer that today. That's just a potential question mark. But when anything 10 vehicles upwards, we're already active in. So please get the submissions in.
That's great. Thank you. Next question. So those fleets where you can consider HGVs, my favourite topic of HGVs, such as less than 10% of the schedule, how would you view EV HGVs? This could have significant AD cost. I was at the Move event last month, a lot of talk of EVs and HGV in HGV markets. So Chris, kind of interested in your thoughts on this question.
So whilst we do write an awful lot of EVs, perhaps the market leading share of EVs, that's not in the HGV space. That said, our customers do collide into HGVs from time to time. Our repair network, one of the key things we made sure is that we've got the capability and experience to handle these claims as they come through. Interestingly, I was at my son's summer fete, and a local haulier turned up with an LPG truck and an EV truck, and we got to get in, sit inside. And I talked to the fleet, the haulage owner, about some of the challenges and what they had, and it's yeah, I think it's clear that there's going to be a shift over time, and provided things like payload get sorted, and we're preparing for that. Significant areas of AD cost, I think that there will be overlap. The battery units is the overriding game changer for all electric vehicles, and I think that is true from what I understand, HGVs as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I think that's probably quite a nice note to end on, with the future of what sort of HGVs and EV space looks like. It kind of fits with this partnership. So look, it is a long-term partnership. It's been really, really positive start to both companies. So hopefully this webinar has given our broker network that we have to get a bit of an insight into how's it going to look from a trading perspective. We've had some really good questions, so thanks very much for your input into this session. As we mentioned, there are a few resources you can go to afterwards. flockcover.com/appetite. We will keep things updated as this partnership matures and develops, as well as what we do with other carrier partners outside of that as well. So yeah, make sure you visit there. Get in touch with the BDN team, get the submissions in. We're always really keen to talk about risks. So yeah, hopefully a really exciting sort of future ahead for both companies, and lots going on. Thank you very much for your time, and yeah, we'll leave it there. Thanks, gents. Appreciate your time. Well answered. Brilliant. Nothing too tricky in there. So yeah, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks for having us on. It's great to be sort of talking to your brokers as well. So appreciate that.
Cheers all.
Thank you.